Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to revise a typical practical question under chemistry section of combined science. It is under fermentation. First I'm going to explain how the practical on fermentation is carried out and then answer a typical practical question that was examined under fermentation. Students ferment glucose with yeast to produce ethanol. This practical involves students preparing a glucose yeast mixture, leaving it to ferment and then testing the fermentation products, namely ethanol. The equipment that are required: we need glucose powder, approximately 5 grams. We need yeast powder, approximately 1 gram. We need a small conical flask. We need a cotton wool plug, boiling tube, and lime water. And this is the procedure that is done in order to carry out the practical on fermentation. The first step is to add 5 grams of glucose to 50 ml of warm water in conical flask until dissolved. After that, we need to add yeast and place cotton wool plug in the neck of the flask. And then after that, we need to lift the mixture in warm place, or we place it in water bath at around 30 degrees Celsius. Once the mixture is fermented, students may taste the gas produced in conical flask using lime water by pouring gas from flask into boiling tube and shaking. Lime water turn cloud if there is enough carbon dioxide. Right now, let us focus on this question that was in June 2010. Fig 1 shows apparatus set up to investigate the products of fermentation. However, Fig 1 has one source of error. We are supposed to correct the error on Fig 1. So we should add either oil layer on mixture or a cotton wool plug. The oil layer on mixture is going to be at the top of this fermenting mixture. So this is going to be the oil mixture, the oil layer on the mixture. Or we are going to add a cotton wool plug at the top of the conical flask. And then on part 2, we are supposed to give a reason for the correction you have made. The addition of oil layer on mixture or a cotton wool plug, it is going to prevent entry of air or entry of oxygen, as fermentation occurs better in absence of oxygen. Fermentation is supposed to happen in anaerobic condition, so we don't need oxygen. We need either an oil layer or a cotton wool plug in order to prevent the entry of air or oxygen. Let me explain again. Addition of oil layer on mixture or a cotton wool plug prevents entry of air or oxygen, as fermentation occurs better in absence of oxygen, that is anaerobic condition. Let us move on to part 3. The other raw material that is needed is yeast. For the process of fermentation to occur, students are supposed to prepare a glucose yeast mixture and leave it to ferment and then testing the fermentation products. So the other material that is needed is yeast. Let us move on to part B. We are supposed to state what would be observed in conical flask A during fermentation. We are going to observe a bubbling or a foam due to the production of carbon dioxide. So either you describe a bubbling, or you write a foam, or you write a froth due to the production of carbon dioxide. And then on part 2, conical flask B, 30 minutes after the start of fermentation, we are supposed to state what would be observed in conical flask B 30 minutes after the start of the fermentation. So this is the conical flask B. It is having lime water or a bicarbonate indicator. So in conical flask B, let's say we are having lime water. It is going to turn cloud or milk, and also we are going to see the bubbles. Let's say we are using bicarbonate indicator. The solution is going to be yellow, and also we are going to observe bubbles. In C part 1, we are supposed to identify the fuel that is going to be produced in Fig 1. So the fermentation is done to produce ethanol from glucose and yeast. So the fuel that is being produced is ethanol. Let us move on to part 2. We are supposed to describe how you would purify the fuel produced in this investigation. The first step is to decant or filter the fermenting mixture. After filtering the fermenting mixture, the next step is to do the fractional distillation to the filtrate or decanted liquid. We then need to repeat the fractional distillation to the distillate. And then the final step is of collecting and distillate between 78 to 80 degrees Celsius in final distillation. Let me summarize the question that was in June 2010, Combined Science Paper 3 on number 1. On number 1A, part 1, we're supposed to correct the error on Fig 1. We're supposed to add either oil layer on mixture or a cotton wool plug. This is to prevent the entry of air or oxygen, as fermentation occurs better in absence of oxygen, that is anaerobic condition. In order to carry out the process of fermentation, the raw materials that are needed are glucose and yeast. During the process of fermentation, in conical flask A, which is the flask that is containing glucose to yeast mixture, we are going to observe a bubbling or a foam or a froth due to production of carbon dioxide. And then on B part 2, let's say we are using lime water, we are going to observe a cloud or a milk due to the production of carbon dioxide. If carbon dioxide is present, it is going to cause the lime water to be milk or cloud. And then if we are using bicarbonate indicator, the solution is going to turn yellow, and also we are going to observe the bubbles. And the fuel that is produced in Fig 1 is ethanol. The process that we need to follow when purifying the fuel produced in the investigation is, first we need to filter fermenting mixture. After that, we need to do the fractional distillation of decanted liquid or filtrate. And then we need to repeat fractional distillation of distillate. After that, we need to collect and distillate between 78 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius in final distillation. This marks the end of our tutorial today on fermentation typical practical question. that was examined in June 2010. Thank you so much, guys, for following me on this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my videos. I love you all. This is Eve signing out.